All right, here we go. So again, my name is Andrew. We're going to be going over I'm going to be doing a lecture about going to the dog park and everything that entails. But before we jump into that, just a little bit about me. So before I got into the dog world, I grew up with animals, everything you can think of, cats, dogs, snakes, lizards, all that good stuff. So I was an animal lover from the get-go. And flash forward to, I think, high school. That's when I met this lovely lady right here. And so we've known each other for quite some time, well, like 20 years, just about. Um, and had a little crush on her since then. And so, as I graduate from high school, I'm doing my own thing, and I'm like kind of in that bubble of where do I want to go in my life? How do I make money, right? How do I make a living? And so um, I'm working at a restaurant, and um, out of the blue, Rachel hits me up. I think I'm about 22, 23 at the time. She hits me up, says, "Hey, are you free? You want to come out to LA, hang out with me, hang out with some dogs?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds great." And I had no idea what she meant by hang out with some dogs. I was just like, "Yeah, cool. You're hitting me up, and I want to hang out with you." And so that was my game plan. Um, and so since that day, I meet up with her. She's walking, a few dogs at that time, and I'm super fascinated. I'm just like, whoa, like this is what you do to make a living. You walk with dogs, you train dogs. She's like, yeah, it's incredible. And I was like, yeah, this is super awesome. I love this. One thing led to another. We started dating. I kind of get a little bit more steeped into what she's doing, and I'm just totally enveloped at that point of her world. And I think it was maybe, a few months down the line, she starts taking notice because she starts handing off dogs to me. Um, just so, because I think I was curious. I was like, oh, can I walk a couple of dogs? And she was like, yeah, of course. And so I was really like feeling out her pack, and I was getting like so much out of it, so much joy. But she was also noticing something in me that I didn't quite recognize at that time. And she would just convey to me like, oh, you got like a natural flow with these dogs. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, it feels good, and I like this. And again, as time went on, I think we both kind of had this conversation, or it came to the point, it was like, why don't you just quit what you're doing and team up with me, since you're pretty much driving out to LA almost every every day, if not every other day, to help walk dogs with her. And sure enough, like that week, I put in my 2 weeks. I said, I'm out of here. I'm moving out to LA. I am fully going to envelop my life with dogs. And so that's kind of how everything started. And I think that was right around 2013. A year later, we filed for a business license, and I believe it was Rachel who came up with the name, the Healing Pack. And I mean, the rest is history. We're at this point now where we have a pretty successful dog walking and care business, as well as like training as well. And so it's just been an incredible journey, and I'm so excited that we're now at this kind of this next milestone, doing this. And I'm not sure, where this is going to go, but I'm so glad like that we got it going. And since Monday, since Rachel kind of kicked things off, I'm just like I'm in such awe of like how things have gone so far. And and I also wanted to mention, like, when Rachel brought this to my attention, she's like, "Yeah, I want to put on this like Pack Walker Summit where individuals get a chance to speak." And I was like, "Yes, this is awesome! Like, I love this idea." And she's like, "Yeah, you're gonna do it too." And then I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Pump the brakes there, okay?" Um, because I will say, uh, Rachel is very good about speaking your mind, being in front of the camera, and I'm a little bit more reserved. As you can tell just on our Instagram page, it's primarily her. and I love the way she presents herself. And so I'm a little bit more behind the scenes, but I've been wanting to kind of get in front of the camera more and share a little bit about, you know, what I bring to the table. And so though this whole process kind of presses on my edges a little bit, it's having me step out of my comfort zone. One to yeah, just to kind of share a little bit about who I am, a little bit about what I like to do, and how I like to move, both you know, both inside the dog park, but also outside of the dog park too, and wanting to share a little bit more like how I run my pack. But um, one other thing I wanted to mention is that what kind of kicked off me wanting to go to dog parks a little bit more so, I would say in the past about year and a half. So as we all know, COVID was, you know, a crazy time for all of us, but during that time, you know, a lot of people were missing that, like that connection, right? Whether it was human connection or just connection in general. And so what happened is a lot of people got what we call COVID dogs. And so it's like there was a big boom there, which was great, you know, people adopting dogs, but there wasn't a whole lot of interaction because, you know, we were on this lockdown. And I was just noticing that few of the clients that would hit us up, you know, we got this dog as a puppy, and you know, it's a year or 2 years later now that COVID is kind of, you know, subsided, as they are going back into, you know, the public eye, that they were running into um not like severe cases, but running into issues of just like the social aspect um with their dogs. And I just find like um you know, when you get a puppy, it's so important. There's like those key moments where you want to get them around dogs so that yes, we can be there to help guide, but actually have those dogs be the driving force around getting them socialized, teaching other dogs different cues, like engaging in play, but also expressing that they don't, you know, they don't want to interact. And like, so I feel like those young those moments in a young dog's life are so important to have like those social abilities, right? And so we are lucky enough to have, you know, packs of dogs to introduce to certain dogs that might have a little bit of like underdeveloped social skills. And so when we utilize our pack, we find it's like, you know, it's very easy for us to integrate a dog coming in, but not everyone has a pack like we do to have at their disposal. So I was recommending some of my clients to join me to go to a dog park so that they can get the get the experience that we get with our pack at a dog park. You know, the play and the interactions and all that good stuff. So today we're doing things a little bit different. I have a video that I'm going to play for you all, and I'm going to be kind of starting and stopping as we go along through it, so I can kind of break down the different things that I was noticing and witnessing at the dog park. And I encourage you all to, if you have questions, you feel free to message in the chat your questions, or you can wait till the very end and I'll you know, give you the chance to unmute your microphones and feel free to ask questions there. Because this is open discussion. You know, anything's, you know, on the table. But yeah, without further ado, I'll go ahead and get things going here. I just got to switch over to the share screen. Cool. All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and kick things off here. Hey, what's up everyone? Andrew from the Healing Pack, and today I'm going to be doing a demo of taking your dog to the dog park. And so if you're someone who has been on the fence about bringing your dog, or is just a little curious of like what that feels, what that looks like, what to expect and what to look out for, then that is what we are going to be going over today. And I am joined by Maya. She's going to be my assistant today. She's one of my
She's one of my client dogs, and she's a very social, very happy-go-lucky dog, so I feel like she would be a great candidate, which your dog should be as well if you're taking them to a social setting like a dog park.
So I just want to comment there real quick. You know, I said an extremely social dog, right? Which your dog should be too. I understand that some owners and some owners might have dogs that might be a little bit nervous, might not have that happy-go-lucky quality. I just want to throw that out there too. Like your dog doesn't have to be perfect, but just understand when you are going to a dog park, generally the dogs that are coming there are pretty social and are pretty how I wouldn't say like they're vicious, but you know, you kind of get like a mixed bag of energies there. So I just wanted to put that out there that your dog doesn't have to be like an all-star dog when going to the dog park.
Further ado, let's begin. All right, guys, so we are here at Silver Lake Dog Park, but before we go in, just wanted to let you know that the thing that I love about Silver Lake Dog Park is that they have a small dog sectioned off area, which is right here, right behind me. And then just ahead, that's where they have the large dog park as well. So if you're someone who owns a small dog and maybe you were nervous or concerned about large dog energy coming into, you know, your little one's space, and you are in LA, I would highly recommend coming to Silver Lake Dog Park because they can accommodate your little one's needs if they just want to hang out with small dogs. But anyway, we're here, we got a big dog today. Let's go ahead and get going. All right, so my rule of thumb before bringing my dog to a dog park is to survey. So what I'm doing is I'm checking out the vibe, the energy, what kind of dogs are in the dog park today. Is there a lot of roughhousing going on? Where are the owners? If that's going down, are they being monitored? So there's a few factors that I'm looking for before I even go inside. As you can see here, I don't know if you can see, I'm gonna flip the camera around, but we've got a few dogs. If I can zoom in, there we go. Got a few dogs over here, just a couple over here. Everyone's hanging out. Vibe is pretty mellow. Okay, everyone, last thing before we enter the dog park. So some dog parks have more rules and regulations, and some are pretty relaxed. Silver Lake Dog Park is no exception. They have many rules and regulations, 17 to be exact. I'm not going to go through all of them because that is boring, but I do know what they are. And you know, it's a lot of like common sense things, like pick up your dog poop and don't bring in a vicious dog who's gonna, you know, start fights and stuff like that. And so just make sure that you know the rules and regulations of the dog park that you're going to. You know, it's safety first, and we just want to make sure everyone is in compliance there. But anyway, all right, without further ado, let's go ahead and enter the dog park.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it right here. And Rachel had brought it to my attention that the video is a little choppy, so I apologize for that. We're still working out the kinks here, but I wanted to make a point to stop it right here, specifically because this is the entrance to the dog park, and if you have never been before, there is a certain etiquette. Anytime anyone is in the entrance area, I tend to, it's protocol to wait till they've completely left that area. So as you can see, there's a guy here, he was coming out of the gate. I was giving him a little bit of space, just so they can have a little bit of room to come out, and I'm not like encroaching on like their personal bubble. Because again, you just don't know like what kind of dogs are coming to the dog park. So it's best to just play safe, let people come in and out one at a time. All right, I'm going to pause it here for just a sec. So before I let my dog off leash, I do a perimeter check. So anytime I come to a dog park, doesn't matter what dog I have that day, how many dogs are in the dog park, I always do a perimeter. And what that is I continue to have my dog on leash, and I just walk around, just next to the gate, all the way around. Just so one, and you're going to see in the video here shortly, one, I can see what kind of dogs are here. And it kind of gives me a better sense of the energy that's within the dog park. And I will say, when I first got here, there were not that many dogs, but as time goes on, and you'll see more dogs start to filter in, and things start to change, and we'll get there eventually. So I'm just walking. I'm not leading my dog at this point. I'm letting her explore. I'm letting other dogs approach us naturally. If they want to sniff and play and, hang out, all good. But I'm still doing my perimeter check as dogs are approaching us. And here you can see Maya. She's super friendly. She just wants to check everyone out. She's a very non-threatening dog. And so right here, just want to pause it for a sec. So I noticed that an individual had brought their dog in on muzzle, which is totally fine. They're doing whatever they need to do to keep their dog safe. But I'm just taking mental notes. And again, this is why I'm doing the perimeter, right? It's allowing me a chance to see who's here. I'm taking mental notes, what dogs, are, if a dog like this has a muzzle on, yeah, I'm gonna take a note of that, and maybe that this dog has a bite history. I don't know, so I'm just gonna play it safe and maybe keep my distance from that dog if Maya wanted to go up in his face, which she does, and you'll see how I gently guide her away, and it's not a big deal. Right here, she's checking
Maya,
them out.
Good job.
So I'm going to pause it right here. And I wanted to highlight this. So this individual came in, and he, sat down on the bench, brought his couple, his two dogs, and they're just hanging out, which totally cool, not a big deal. But what tends to happen when we stop and we plant and we're sitting down, or we go on our phones, we're kind of checking out, and our dogs are near us, which is probably what they're going to do. We're creating a bubble of territory. And so imagine this little this concrete disc that he's sitting at by this bench. Let's just pretend like that is their little bubble of territory. And so, not always, but I have seen dogs be more territorial of their human, right? When I get closer, they might bark, they might growl. And so, and again, this is not anything, bad or good. It's just what is. It's just what gets created when coming to an environment like this. And so that's why I'm constantly in motion. I'm moving around with Maya, and I'm creating neutral territory. This is why other dogs were coming up to us, approaching us, wanting to engage and play. These two dogs right here, they're not looking for play. They're like, no, I want to sit next to my human. This feels good for me. We're hanging out, we're chilling in the shade. And so I'm like, cool, I'm taking a note of that. I'm not going to take Maya and go into their personal bubble. I'm just going to let that be. And, if they wanted to come and greet Maya, then great, awesome. They're willing to like leave their general space. And so right here, this is where I take Maya off leash, and to to my surprise, I quickly learned that Maya is, I don't want to say obsessive, but she really likes the ball, and this is not my ball that I brought for her. This is just a tennis ball that someone had left here at the park. And so I kind of interrupt. You'll see she goes for the tennis ball, and I just interrupt her and I say, "Hey, actually, I want you to stick with me." And as the video plays out, you'll see that she starts to engage with dogs and then sees another ball. And I'll kind of let the video speak for itself, and then I'll pause it shortly after.
Nope. Maya. Maya, drop.
Oh.
So right here, Maya found herself a ball, and she's having a great time with it. However, and this is and I kind of explain a little bit more so in the video, but when she got the ball, she did not want to come back to me when I started to recall her. She was like, "Oh, I have this thing of value. I'm going to keep it away from Andrew, and this is going to be the best game in the world." Meanwhile, I'm like, "Oh boy, how am I going to catch this dog?" Right? Eventually, she drops the ball. She starts sniffing something, and I'm able to leash her back up again. But I ended up not filming that section because I was like in that mode of like, okay, I gotta I gotta be more present here, and I gotta make sure that I can get this dog back in my possession.
Hey.
So right here I have her back on leash, just so I can again control my own environment. Big old Great Pyrenees.
All right, so we've been here for a few minutes now, and I am noticing that there is a lot of tennis balls here. Chase mode, here we go. So she's picking up a ball, right? She just wants to primarily focus on the ball, but I want to start creating a different narrative when I come to the dog park. It's not, we come to the dog park and we don't socialize or interact with other dogs because we're playing the chuck it, right? Or we're using a toy to kind of distract from the purpose of the dog park, which is to be social and learn social cues, interact with other dogs, tell dogs that, you want to engage or that you don't want to engage. And I just feel the intensity shoots way up when we start introducing toys or, a tug of war ropes, something that's competitive, and we start ramping up the energy. And I'm not saying that dogs can't, have fun and, interact in that way. But when it comes to a high traffic area like a dog park, a toy or a bone, a ball, whatever, that can become a resource, and it can result into resource guarding. It doesn't happen every time, but I've seen it happen, and I've seen other dogs redirect on other dogs. And when I say redirect, that means they bite or they snap at them, and it can become a larger issue. So my rule of thumb is that I like to avoid those types of things when I'm coming to the dog park.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause here. I must have been some kind of psychic that day because everything I just mentioned goes down right here in this video. And so I noticed that there was two dogs that got a hold of a tug of war, a rope, and they're playing tug of war with it. And again, in a controlled environment, like if it was a yard at someone's house or something like that, and a little tug of war game was going on between two dogs, just between the two dogs, that might be fine. It might be a healthy play and like exchange of dominant energy. could be fine, right? But here at a dog park, this is where I have some issue. And it's not to anyone's fault. It's just because like most people just don't know. Again, this is why there was like 1,000 tennis balls everywhere. But you'll notice that when the dogs start playing, the energy of the surrounding dogs, not necessarily the two dogs that are involved, but the surrounding dogs, it starts to go up and it starts to go up. And then things start to happen. And I'll let the video play out and then I'll stop it shortly after and kind of explain what was going on. So right now a dog has a rope and now the other dog starts to join in, tug around, and you can hear the barking, right? And these aren't even the dogs that are involved. It's other dogs around. Now more dogs are getting involved with the tug of war. I'm gonna pause there, and you can just hear like the intensity is starting to build up. Nothing major has happened, but the intensity is starting to build, And there's some dogs in the background that'll soon come into the shot where it gets a little too much. So I'm going to stop right here. So there was a dog that was getting a little more intense than the rest, and his owner came by, and to his best abilities, he thought he was helping out in this situation. Again, he's not doing anything wrong or bad. It's just that this is what he thought was the best in this situation, and so he's actually holding his dog back, applying pressure, but he's not moving. He's just holding pressure. And what's happening is that he's ramping up the dog. It's like, think about when dogs do like the bite suit work. They hold them back, and then boom, did they let go, and it's release. And that's kind of what happens here. He's holding his dog back, and then the dog slips out of his grip. So I'll go ahead and play this for you. Oh, and meanwhile, this is me in the shot. I see this all going down, and I kind of had an idea how things are going to play out. I wasn't going to get Maya involved. Just wanted to make that clear. I'm not going in there because I have Maya with me. I'm not going in there to get her close to the action, but if I could, verbally help in any way, that was my intention there. Okay, so there's a little bit of a glitch out there. I'm just going to rewind that just a sec. And so I'll let you know right now, nothing major happened in that moment. There was a moment where the dog got off, got away from the owner and went after this other dog. There was a little bit of nipping. There was no connection, but it was pretty intense, and especially for the people, standing around. And again, I get why this happened. And I also understand that when people see this and they witness this, it creates precedent for the dog park, right? And then it's like that becomes the standard of like, oh my God, there was this fight at the dog park. I'm never gonna go there again. I hate the dog park. It's just a place where dogs get crazy. And maybe there is some truth to that, but that was such a small incident where nothing happened at the end of the day. Both dogs were fine. And I will say, when the humans kind of interacted and brought the temperature down, took away the tug of war toy, you'll notice in the dog park in the following scenes, the temperature has totally died down. The beef was squashed, and all the dogs are fine, and they were back at playing again, happy-go-lucky. So I just want to like bring that to your attention is like and I felt the same way too sometimes a few years ago, just like, oh man, like, F the dog park, I'm not going there. It's just chaotic until, I had a better understanding about how to approach it, things to look out for, how I can keep my dog safe and also keep other dogs safe as well. So I want to show you, I love this dog. So this is not Maya, though it looks like Maya. This is, I forget the dog's name, but he's a male version of what Maya is. He's like a yellow lab, and he is the epitome of happy-go-lucky. These are the dogs that I'm like, yes, I want this energy to be interacting with my dog, because these are the dogs that are going to be playful and fun, and maybe they'll have a little bit of like play going on where it's like an exchange of maybe I chase you, you chase me, and you'll get a sense of like who this dog is real quick, and you'll see that Maya is just like a hell yes to this type of energy. And this is stuff that I highly encourage, and this is what I go to the dog parks for.
You are
Look at
just
this
too
guy.
cute.
Very healthy play, exchange of, I chase you, you chase me. And now he's got his buddies with him. And so I'm going to pause it real quick here because there's an important moment where there is an exchange of dominance going on. You'll see that some dogs start mounting other dogs. And I just want to say that if you're kind of new to the dog world and you see like a dog humping another dog, it's not necessarily like a sexual thing. It can be, it can be, yes. But oftentimes it's more of like a dominance playful thing, an exchange of, playful dominance. And you'll see that the yellow lab, who is the happy-go-lucky, he starts to receive a lot of pressure from the other dogs, and he vocalizes that he's had enough, and it's a one and done type of exchange, where he's like, hey, that's enough. And you'll notice that the Great Pyrenees right here, she eventually backs away, or he or she, I'm not quite sure, but the Great Pyrenees, the white one right here, backs away.
We got some twins here.
Yeah. Right here, he's getting a little overwhelmed and he's vocalizing like, hey, let's slow it down. Let's slow it down. Then right here, where the Great Pyrenees starts to mount, you'll hear his growl, and he just says, I've had enough of that. Right? He didn't bite. It was just vocal. It's like when someone comes up to you from behind and you don't know who they are, and they just give you a big bear hug, and you're like, hey, man. You kind of like have that like initial reaction, and it's like, oh, sorry, hey, I'm just here to, say hi, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, okay, after that exchange happens, you might see the dogs go back at it again after they've had that audio cue of like, hey, I want to play with you, but let's bring it down. You're at a level 8. Let's bring it down to like a 5 or a 6. Shaking off the energy. Here we go. And he's back. He's ready to play again. Not a big deal, right?
All right,
and it's really important in those moments for the human to kind of let things play out, because it's really important for dogs to express themselves and to pick up on those social cues. It's so important. If I were to come in there and just like break it up and like, oh, let's go, it's like I'm setting the tone. It's like I'm saying like, this is a bad dog, right? I'm not allowing them to have that full conversation. And so sometimes when, even like with little dogs, right? If a little dog gets in another, scuffle with like another little dog, easy thing to do is just kind of separate them out. But I avoid picking them up and like coddling them as, oh, it's okay, because we're actually saying like that situation right there, that's a bad dog. And so they might have this mindset that, any dog that comes into my space is like a danger, right? And so we start building up these like bad, not bad, but just issues that they might have with socializing. So I really like dogs being able to express themselves to other dogs so that there's a dialogue starting to build. And this is really important too when you have a young dog, so that the elders can start teaching the young dog how to, one, engage with others, but also fend for themselves too when they've had enough.
We just left the dog park. Now, we had a really good time, and it was great because we kind of got to see all aspects, good and bad, at the dog park. And I'm sure myself broke down some of that for you in the video breakdown, but I'm glad we were kind of able to see all walks of life, different types of scenarios, different types of dog energies, because the purpose of this video is awareness around dog parks, the positive sides of them, and also highlighting some of the negative sides and how we can be better about approaching and going to the dog park and just kind of creating a different narrative. And so what I want to convey here is that I find such value around bringing my dogs and my clients' dogs to dog parks for the the benefits of it. But I have to be realistic and understand that there are dangers, things to look out for. And so as humans, we have to be better about identifying those things, gaining knowledge around what we should be doing at a dog park and what we shouldn't be doing at a dog park. But anyway, guys, hope that this helps. And if you or anyone is curious about wanting to bring their dog to a dog park and maybe is just not sure how to go about that, please feel free to reach out to us. We are The Healing Pack. You can find us on Instagram at The Healing Pack, or you can visit our webpage at thehealingpack.com, get some more info there. But anyway, guys, hope this helped. And until next time, take care.
All right, this is just bonus footage. So this long-haired dachshund here, this is our business manager's dog, and I was using her for the little dog park, and pretty much like the same rules apply. You know, there's an exchange of like, I chase you, you chase me, and again, there's moments where her name is Frankie, where Frankie lets another dog know that she's actually had enough. And she actually like kind of directs her mouth towards that dog, not biting, but just saying, hey, I'm checking in with you to let you know that I've had enough. But the dog continues to put the pressure on. I know the video is a little choppy right here, but this is the moment. I'm going to see if I can rewind it, if it'll play a little bit better. And if not, it's all good. Oh, having an issue. There we go. So this dog right here starts to put some pressure on Frankie. Right here. Boom. She corrects. And notice that this other dog, who belonged to the same family, starts to continue to follow Frankie. And so what I'm doing here to help advocate for this dog is I'm just stepping in with my physical presence to create a little bit of space so that Frankie could feel supported. And as they move away, Frankie can relax a little bit. And then shortly after, she's back at it again, having a great time. All is well, feeling good. Just communication between dogs. You know, they were playing. This dog's coming in with a little bit of higher energy. And again, barking is just a form of communication. It's not necessarily a bad thing when, you know, the dogs start barking, especially when it's like a fun, playful environment. It's just expression.
Nice.
Awesome, guys. Well, that is the end of the video. Let me take us off Share screen. Oh, there we go. Cool. Awesome. Let's see. Are you using a long line for? Okay, excellent question, Ashley. So in hindsight, I should have come. I normally go to the dog parks with a longer line. And if you need a longer line, hit up Mountain Dog Products. Little plug there. Yeah, I usually go into the dog park with a longer line, especially if it's a dog that I haven't worked with before, or it's like a client dog. That way, I just have like a safety, a safety a net there. Because you just never, again, you never know what kind of dogs are entering in the dog park, and it's the same thing. It's like if you have a long line, this dog still gets the freedom of exploring, checking things out, checking out dogs. So yeah, and if you're, someone who's wanting to take their dog, but you're not sure how they're going to be off leash. But they're a good dog. I would highly recommend bringing a longer line as well. That's it for the. Oh, let me. Okay, so you can unmute yourselves if you need to. Do you have any rule about how big a dog park should be? How many dogs is too many dogs? That's an excellent question. So it really just depends on your dog and your comfortability level. Me going into that dog park that day with the amount of dogs that eventually showed up, that was like my sweet spot. If it was like a Saturday or Sunday, it can get pretty crazy there on the weekends. And so I tend to kind of like stay away from that. However, again, you kind of have to pick and choose, and you should, have a good sense of who your dog is before bringing them to the dog park if they can handle, larger sums of dogs.
I have a question. What would you say is like specific skills that you would work on with a dog before bringing them to the dog park? Like what things would you make sure you had in your relationship with this dog?
Yeah, excellent question. One thing I would want to make sure is like what's my dog's temperament like around other dogs. I understand, like, if you don't have that opportunity first, if you don't know, if you're unsure, like, make sure reach out to someone who would know, a trainer or someone like that, with that you can meet up and maybe have them assessed. But like for me, like, I think I'm a little bit privileged in that area because I am a pack walker, and so I know most of like my client dogs. I know the dogs that I'm working with. It's like primarily my clients hit me up to take their dogs to the dog park, so I already have an established relationship, and so I want to make sure that I can like call out to a dog so that I can get them out of a situation. But again, like the situation with Maya, having that ball, it was like I didn't even matter at that point. So I'm just making sure that if I take a dog, let's say it's like Maya, then I'm gonna have a game plan, which is have a longer line on her so that I can get her out of a sticky situation if it ever came to that. But yeah, does that answer your question?
It does. And so when you have them on that long line, like it's you're saying that like you're kind of always holding on to the end of it, right? We're not the dog is not to be dragging this long line through the park, right?
Sometimes I have let the line drag when there's maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 dogs in that dog park. Super tangible. Like, yeah, I have my eyes on the dog at all times, in case there's any tanglage happening. But for the most part, I have never really run into that issue. But yeah, sometimes I will leave the leash on and just let it drop, especially when it's a lower count at the dog park. If it's busy, I'm not going to drop the line because one, I want to make sure the dogs are safe. I don't want other dogs getting tangled up and having it be like this whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Any other questions before I jump off? Because I do have to go, but I really want to, dedicate my time here before I have to dip out. So I'll give it a couple of seconds here if nobody else has any questions. And I appreciate the ones. Thank you, Brian. Thanks for jumping on the call today. And for anyone who's watching, if a question comes to you later, please feel free to reach out to us. You can, shoot us a DM on Instagram or, shoot us an email. If something was like not clear, let's see. Yep, absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for being on this call today. Yeah, I was a little nervous jumping into it, but it was all good, and I hope that the video quality was okay. If I can figure out a way where it like streams a little smoother, I'm gonna do whatever I can on my end. Thank you, Ben. So Ben on the call here, he was the one that let me borrow Maya. So thank you so much, Ben, for letting me borrow such an awesome dog for that experience. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off. Thanks again. Really appreciate your time today. And I believe the next one is Friday?
Yes. With
Yes. With who?
Kim from Chasing the Wild.
Kim from Chasing the Wild will be Friday's lecture. All right, guys, take care, and we will see you then.